Dear students, today we have the lecture on the subject, the theory and practice of intercultural communication, and the lecture is me, Алтынай Муратовна Кузясова. Lecture number 11, and the theme is Language as the Mirror of Culture, Real World, Culture, Language. The plan is language as a tool of culture, then interaction of language and culture, and the language and national character. The function of language as a tool of culture is extremely important for many reasons. Language accumulates and stores the culture of a nation and passes it from generation to generation. The use of language largely depends on the background knowledge of the user, which is why cultural studies are indispensable in foreign language learning and teaching. Without the cultural background knowledge of the world where it is naturally used, the language turns into a dead language. Language is the most obvious and most enduring difficulty in intercultural communication. Individuals gather, give and receive information through language. As language has developed in the context of a particular culture, of necessity, it reflects that culture. Language is used in different ways and broadly. The linguistic varieties could be categorized into geographical, used only in particular parts of the community; social, varieties used by societal groups based on occupation, gender and age; and functional, used based on function and situation. These factors lead to the formation of dialects that add diversity to the language. Language and culture are intertwined. A particular language usually points out to a specific group of people. When you interact with another language, it means that you are also interacting with the culture that speaks the language. You cannot understand one's culture without accessing its language directly. Linguistic relativity states that the way people think of the world is influenced directly by the language that people use to discuss it. Anthropologist linguist Edward Sapir of the United States said that the language habits of specific groups of people build the real world. Here you see his words, that language is a purely human and non-instinctive method of communicating ideas, emotions, and desires by means of voluntarily produced symbols. He further added that no two languages are similar in such a way that they would represent one society. The world for each society is different. In analysis, this means that speaking a language means that the person is assuming a culture. Knowing another culture based on this principle is knowing its particular language. Communication is needed to live the interpretations and representations of that world. National character is a complex combination of nations' history, culture, traditions, language, and national psychology. As the International Encyclopedia of Social Science defines, the term national character is used to describe the enduring personality characteristics and unique lifestyles found among the populations of a particular national states. This behavior is sometimes considered on an abstract level, that is, as cultural behavior without actual reference to necessarily different personality modalities. The language of some certain nations strongly reflects the national character. Language is the main element which carries out all the national characteristics and differentiating features. The climate, landscape, any social and historical changes, innovations have their direct influence on the national character. First of all, that influence is reflected in the language of the nation. People think in some certain language, and language is the only way to express ideas and thoughts. It means that language modifies the thoughts and vice versa. So any change and all the characteristics features of the nation are reflected in the language. National character can be seen through proverbs and realias. Proverbs and sayings of the language are symbolic aspects of culture. They demonstrate, shape, and determine this or that cultural identity and dictate the rules and behavior codes for this very nation. For example, there would be little doubt that the following sayings are distinctly American. Time is money, first come, first served, get to the point, lost time is never found again, one day is worth two tomorrow, here today, gone tomorrow. By the way, I want you in the following seminar define the value each of these sayings reflect. Eastern cultures do not appreciate haste and fast-paced life either. For instance, the Japanese would advise, when in a hurry, take the roundabout route. The more haste, the less speed. If the American culture presupposes that everyone has equal rights and possibilities, and their motto is, we hold those truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, in high-context cultures, which are hierarchical and traditional societies, the concepts of shame and honor are much more important. The Chinese value of hierarchy and power is well expressed in the proverb, when you are an anvil, hold still. When you are a hammer, strike at will. And the reference is given. That is all for today's lecture. Be ready with your seminar questions.